Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm Kristen and I'm here with Olivia and we are going to talk about writing. Hi, welcome to the writing podcast. I'm Kristen and I'm here with my friend Olivia.
Hello.
Yes, so I'm a communications major and I love writing. I was creative writing, like Olivia.
She left our team.
Yes, I've been in here, but
she's still a minor though.
Yes, I'm still a minor, so I'll still be taking some of those classes. But yeah, so we both really love writing, and we just wanted to sit down and talk a little bit about writing. Anywho, so I think the first topic on the list, I guess, what kind of writing do you like to do, Olivia? What do you like to do?
Oh man, I love fantasy for one thing, but not like the typical fantasy, I don't know, like Lord of the Rings style, like elves and dwarves and prophecies and all of that. Just I don't know. I like doing my own thing. Like the story I'm writing right now is very cosmic-y, but also very earthy, and it's kind of like the finding a relationship between celestial beings and just woodland creatures, I guess. I think that's a simple way to put it. I could go way into depth, but I'm not going to today.
Yes. Yes. So, yes.
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. I'm also very interested in fantasy, but more like fantasy adventure type thing.
Yeah.
Kind
Me
of
too.
more action oriented, a little less magic, more adventure kind of thing. So
I'm more into slow burn stuff.
Mhm.
I like lengthy dialogue scenes.
Mhm.
I find it so hard to write an action scene because, well, mostly I don't because I'm afraid to. But I don't know. It's very intimidating. You got to find the right language and the right crash, boom, bang adjectives to use. And without it sounding over the top or just not enough or boring or I don't know. I like just the simplicity of sitting with 2 or 3 characters and having them just chat. And deliver story beats through there. But I a little change of subject though. I really like horror, and I like incorporating horror. I mean, not over the top, obviously, but because that scares people. So, but yeah, I think it is an endearing thing to do if you do it well.
Mm-hmm. And you like to blend. You have a nice blend of genres in your book.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you balance it out super well.
Why, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. And back to what you're saying on action scenes. Another thing that I've learned about action scenes, and I think it was actually here in either creative writing or fiction. I think it's probably fiction class that I was learning more about. This was even the spacing of the paragraphs on the page can affect how fast-paced the scene feels and sounds when someone is reading it. And I think that was super fascinating to me and very helpful too, because I agree. Sometimes I feel like when I write scenes of action, my words can my paragraphs can drag on instead of being fast-paced like they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick clip sentences can portray this manic state of mind. So
yeah.
It's you can play with sentence lengths and words, and just you can have one word sentences, and there's so many things you can do with words to portray a scene or portray an emotion, or just whether you should feel relaxed or just panicked as a reader. So it's really neat.
Yeah. I think that's really fascinating. And that's something so I'm writing the first draft of the story I'm working on right now. I won't get into the details. But and that's why I keep telling myself that I'm going to go back and edit it all, because I mostly need to get it down on paper, and then I can go back and edit it for those things like the pace and the speed and stuff. But that bothers me because I'll go back and I'll read what I wrote, and I'm very unhappy with it. Not always, but I'll be like, this is really lacking. But as long as it's on paper, then you can always go back and fix it.
Agreed.
Make it better.
Agreed. Completely agreed. The same thing happens to me. Like, one day I'll just be writing and I'll feel like so in the zone and be like, oh my god, this is amazing. I'm totally in this. And then the next day I'll go back to it and be like, oh god.
What did I write?
What did I do?
Yes,
And then
yes.
I'll just not feel enthusiastic at all to go through it or edit it. And I know it's still there. It's on paper, you're right, and it's there and it's ready for me when I feel like I'm in the right mindset to go in and edit and make this into like the piece that I was feeling it was when I was first putting it down, and when the bias is gone. But and I don't know, it just depends on the day for me.
That's for
whether I can just go in and edit and not feel discouraged.
Yeah.
So,
do you edit? Because I know you do your cool dialogue thing where you put the dialogue down first. But do you do you prefer to get everything down and then go back and edit, or like put a few pages down and then edit it, and then put a few more pages down and then go back and edit it?
Oh, I just put everything down first. I've noticed, like, I'm a perfectionist, like, to a fault, and that's something I'm, like, doing my best to work with right now. So my strategy right now, like, in terms of, like, my big writing projects, is just getting all the dialogue down and getting down, like, what I call, stage directions. So I basically put, like, in parentheses the actions that the characters are taking while they're talking, just so I can remind myself later on, like, when I go back and actually turn this into something that looks like normal novel prose, whatever. Like, I don't know. My process works better that way, and I'm able to keep going. If I write, like, normal sentences, at least right now, I will just pause and get stuck. Like, I'll want to nitpick it so bad that I won't make any progress. So this is the only way as of now I'm able to get stuff down and, like, feel good about it, feel good about myself, and know that I can always go back and fine tune it when I'm ready.
That's really neat. I really like how you've discovered the process that works for you, and that kind of that actually leads into something that I wanted to talk about too, was structuring. And there's like seat of the pants writers, and then there's writers who will structure every last detail before they start writing. And I know for me, I feel like I fall in between those two extremes, because let's see, especially with the story I'm working on right now, I know where I'm going, and, like, little bits of the storyline or things that I want to include will continue to, like, come to me, or I'll come up with them. But for me, it's a lot of planning the history of the characters. Usually is what I structure the most, is the characters, because that, I feel, for me, my stories are typically very character driven, and that's one of my favorite things to write about and work on, is just the characters and their relationships with the other characters. And even because I know what the one I'm working on, I came up with a bunch of characters who don't even appear in the book, really, like family members and ancestors and stuff like that. So I think that's sort of the driving structure that I use, and then I have a super rough, like, sort of ABC outline for, I know where I'm going, I know the point I want to make, and then it's just the getting there. So.
Yeah. I definitely have planned so much overhead. Like, I'm brainstorming for my story, like, all the time. Like, when schoolwork isn't occupying my brain. Like, even if I don't write it down, it's always circling and cycling through my head. And I'm, like, fine-tuning it as I go. Like, it's just instinctual at this point because I've been doing it for so long. And yeah, I get that. Like, just really overdeveloping those backstories and making sure character motivations are there, that personality is there. But then when it actually gets to writing it down and, like, making sure, like, I know where to put it, like, in the actual story, like, when I get there, that's hard, because I think I need more experience with this, because I was actually experiencing this yesterday. I'm writing a pilot script for TV writing, and I've put so much work already into the three main characters, like backstories or personality or like what drives them, and I'm just trying to figure out where that I can express that in the script, like without it being like directly versus indirectly, like, or whether I have to leave that mostly up to the actors to portray. Just, making sure what I intend for the characters is translated like as well as I can to the paper. That's something I think about often.
I understand. Like, where you have all this very rich history for the characters and you want to be able to show it, but then at the same time you also can't just information dump it all at once.
That's true.
Yeah, that's where that's what I think I've been working on with in my story is and also not, because I know the first time I wrote the 30 pages for fiction class, I did dump a lot of that information, and as I have been rewriting those first 30 pages, which has been boring, but I've had a bit of a breakthrough with that the past couple days, so that's been good. I've been having fun with it again. But because I don't like going back and then rewriting, because I had a bunch of stuff after that, so I had to like start over kind of at the beginning, just for that section. Then I can get back to where I was. But I had to take a lot of that out and just sort of allude to things. That's kind of like where the balance between alluding to something and not completely revealing something, but also not confusing the reader with what you're alluding to, with what you're hinting at.
Right. Because I struggle with how much information I share at a certain point versus how much I sprinkle in through dialogue and just I don't know. Like, I'm a big fan of like the big section of dialogue, like one of my characters just all of a sudden like breaks into a speech and just like explaining something. Like, I'm a big fan of writing that, but I know if I were to sit down and read that, I'd be like, dear God, how long is this?
Got a lot of monologues.
I'm an opposite reader to my writing. Like, I like big, long, drawn out stuff with a lot of details, a lot of talking. Meanwhile, I don't know. I need to read more books for one thing, but right now, I don't know. I like when things go quickly in a narrative when I'm reading.
Yeah. So like the pace of the story and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to do that myself.
It's a process. It's all learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I want to get better at. Okay, let me see. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is, let's see. Oh yeah, do you write when you feel inspired, or do you make yourself write to get past lack of inspiration, or a mix of both?
Oh man. Do you know what burnout is?
Yes, I do.
Burnout is basically where your motivation just goes kerplooey. So I've been feeling that for a lot of things lately, and it's okay. I think I'm getting out of it, but right now, my motivation is just its own entity, and I am its slave.
No.
Some days I'll just be sitting in front of my laptop, and I don't want to get up because I want to actually get whatever it is done, but my brain is just not letting me. But then all of a sudden, at the most inconvenient times, if I'm taking a shower, or if it's 2 a.m, it all of a sudden springs on me, oh my God. And then I have to, it's like catching a wave or catching a train. I have to sit down and get it all out of my head before it's lost forever. It's just, it's nerve-wracking, and I hate it, and I want to fix it, but I don't know how to do that right now.
Yeah. The random inspiration.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is a fix for that. I feel
there probably is not.
Yeah. Because I have some things that I know I've thought a lot about, but I have not written them down, and I can feel them sort of disappearing. And I keep thinking, oh, no, I'm almost there, but, because, like, yeah, but it's not, I don't know.
I'm so afraid of things disappearing.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I just, decide, okay, fine, I'll stay up 1 more hour and type this down, because, I think that's worth more than going to bed and just losing an opportunity in my story to make it more special or add another special element to it. Like, I know there's plenty more special elements to come at random moments of inspiration, like I've just described, or otherwise. But, like, I don't know. If a moment feels special enough, grab on and hold on tight and write it down and just tame it.
Yeah, I like that. Tame it. That's good. Yeah, I think I have not struggled as much with burnout recently, but I have been, like, not opening that Google Doc. And so I know at the end of last semester, that was terrible. But at the end of towards the end of the semester, that was when, because November came around, and that's National Novel Writing Month, and all these crazy people write a novel in, like, 1 month, which is insane. But, But for me, I just wanted to write, like, at least 1 sentence every day, and that actually really helped, because then even if I didn't know what I wanted to happen next, I would still write that next sentence, so it would still push me forwards, and then it would kind of come, and that helped me get out of that slump, kind of. But I don't know. But it was also kind of an escape from all the other work too that was burning me out schoolwork wise. But I think that helped me, and I've been kind of slacking off with that this semester, and since I have more energy, I'd like to focus more on it now too, because I was, again, kind of at sort of a point where I was just like, I don't really feel like writing, and so, but the past couple days I've been trying to at least get a sentence down.
I'd also like to take partial responsibility for getting you to write in November, because every day I texted you, hey, Kristen, did you write today?
Yes, thank you, Olivia, for
problem.
being my accountability partner in that respect. How could I forget?
It was like the thing I was most committed to in a while.
Thank you.
Like, I'm a very disorganized person, so to have that one thing under wraps and figured out for me, that felt good.
Aww, yay.
So
that's good. And I know you said your alarm went off in class one time, right?
Yeah. And everyone just looked at me like, ooh.
I'm just causing disruptions even when I'm not there. Yes.
And the people that oohed, I just looked at them like, man, we are not in middle school. Like, yes, my alarm went off. Big deal. I'm helping a classmate.
What we were just talking about, and it would be a nice thing to close on, was writer's block, which and what can get in the way of your writing. And yeah.
Let's see. Personal circumstances, school, work, burnout.
Yes.
Motivation in general, just anything can get in the way of writing, but, like, you just gotta do it. Like, you gotta take it by the reins and tame it, but, like, you gotta strike a balance, I've found out, between just, like, holding yourself hostage. You don't want to hold yourself hostage in front of your laptop and get all sweaty and just angry at yourself that nothing is coming to your brain to translate onto the keyboard. Just you have to give yourself a break, and you got to cut yourself some slack, because every day is you're not gonna be a wizard, and you're not gonna have everything figured out, and that's okay. You're a human being. It's all right. You're not a robot. Talking to myself partially there. But, like, you got to strike that balance between being determined and pushing yourself healthily, and taking a breath and giving yourself time. So I think that's most important with writing, but everyone has writer's block.
Yeah.
Like, Everyone. Like, some days you just can't, but...
Yeah, it's true. And I really like what you said about kind of giving yourself a break sometimes, because that's true, because sometimes you just really do need to step back. Especially if it's gotten to the point where it's stressing you out, then that's like, I feel like that's a sure sign of needing to take a break, of needing to do maybe something else that will rejuvenate you as opposed to writing.
Yes.
And yeah, as for lack of motivation, I've found, like kind of like I was saying earlier, that if I just sit down, or if a lack of inspiration, I'll say that, because I feel like a lot of times it can be so easy just to sit down and write when you feel inspired. But a lot of times I just don't feel inspired until I sit down, until I start writing. And then even if it's sort of choppy at first, then usually I'll get back into it. And so that's what helps me, is just like sit down and keep writing. But yes, definitely be gentle with yourself. Be gracious with yourself, especially if there's a lot of stuff going on in your life, and don't don't stress yourself out.
Being a writer is going on a journey, and you're gonna have some highs and lows in that journey.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. But like, if you're actively thinking about your story and like brainstorming, even if you don't write it down, I mean, you could technically consider that. I mean, to write is to write. To be a writer is to write.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're actively just thinking and brainstorming, I mean, writing in quotation marks, loose definition there. I mean, like, I on a bad day, or just on a day where you're just not feeling it, that could, sure, cut yourself some slack. That's writing. You wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and that's something else too, is just like, even just thinking about it keeps it in your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like Professor Walsh advocates to everybody that if you write 1 page a day, like you write it, and then you know fresh in your mind what you're going to write tomorrow, and you edit that page you wrote yesterday and write a new page and keep going like that, you'll have a book done in a year, or maybe a little more or a little less, depending on how long your book is. But like, not everyone can keep that 1 page a day schedule, but like, I don't know.
I cannot.
Just that is a little bit of wishful thinking, but it is a really good strategy.
Yeah. Kind of like,
yeah.
Like the 1 sentence a day, or just however much you can a day.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be a page.
1 word. It
could be 1 word. You could just be thinking. You could write 5 pages. You could write 10.
Exactly.
You could write a sentence. You don't even have to write write formal prose. You could just be me and just take long notes and big bricks of text. Because again, my process is very organized and yet very unorganized. Like,
yeah. Well, it's like, that's kind of like, it's organized from your perspective. Yeah. But from an outsider's perspective, they might be like, "What's going on?" But as
works for my
brain. You know where everything is. You know.
Yeah.
How to access the things you need to access.
And it's best for me in regards to, like, what is working right now, and that's what's most important, like keeping you in a good mindset, keeping you as positive as possible, though you don't have to be positive every day, of course. Just like,
take time as you need it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, I think that is a good place to end the podcast. So thank you so much for coming, sitting down and talking with me about writing, Olivia.
Thank you so much for having me, Kristen.
Yes, I really enjoyed this. This was super fun. And it was, So, thank you so much for listening. And until next time.